The only way to achieve an optimal weight and keep it there for the rest of your life is by eating healthy food, because then you instinctually desire the right amount of calories. So I'm going to start out by giving you an example here of what, this is such a basic principle to understand human longevity. Isn't this conference called Longevity Now or something like that? So if that's the name of the conference, then shouldn't the participants know the most important, critical, basic, foundational science about human longevity? Okay? Right? Let's go over that. So I have this buffet in the front of the room here, where you're going to take your plates and you're going to fill them up with food, and we're going to track how much calories you take into your food. Except when you make a line here to get up to the front of the room to eat, I'm going to give you an apple while you're waiting in line to get your food. And you know what's going to happen? I'm going to have a bunch of scientists measure how much you took on your plate and how much you ate till you were comfortably fed. And you'll find out that those people who ate the apple coming up to eat the food will have eaten 65 calories less, because they accommodated the 65 calories from that apple, which filled them up with fiber and nutrients, so they chose 65 calories on the average less when they went down to eat their food. You got that? Okay, but the problem was now in this line of people, while they were waiting to get their food, we gave them a tablespoon of olive oil. And a tablespoon of olive oil at 120 calories has no significant micronutrient load and no really fiber in there. So when they came up to get their calories, it didn't turn down their appestat like the apple did. So when the people who were waiting in line got the 101 tablespoon of olive oil at 120 calories per tablespoon, when they came up here and ate their food and took and weighed, their plates were weighed, and they saw how much they ate 120 calories in addition, thus overeating some calories in their meal compared to the people with the apple. You see, eating a diet with a high micronutrient density is all about eating foods that suppress the appetite and roll down the appestat. You see, the more empty calories you take in, the more you're diluting the micronutrient density of your diet. The formula that represents the first principle of a nutritarian diet is the most important principle that governs your lifespan and your healthy life expectancy. If you want to push 100 years old, you have to have a diet that has a high nutrient per calorie density. That means the foods you choose to eat have to have a high amount of micronutrients per macronutrients, a high amount of micronutrients per caloric buck. Anybody help me out here? Anybody tell me what I just told you over the last 5 minutes? Can anybody tell me the first principle of a nutritarian diet? The principle that governs human lifespan and longevity? What is it? Can you articulate it in your own words, represented by this equation, H equals N over C? Nutrient-dense foods, eat more nutrient-dense foods, creates long life. Right. I'll say it in my terms, okay, that in order to maximally push the envelope of human nutrition, you have to eat a diet that's moderately caloric restriction in an environment of micronutrient excellence. You guys getting that now? I want to make it clear. That's why I'm repeating myself. That means the more foods you eat that are high in nutrients, like kale and broccoli and wild blueberries and onions and scallions, the more you eat foods that are high in nutrients, the longer you live, and the more you eat foods that contain no nutrients and just give you empty calories, the shorter your lifespan. A perfect prototype of a food that's concentrated calories with no significant nutrients are oil. Now let's say, for example, before I go on to this lecture, use my body as an example. Because I'm about 9 or 10% body fat. I'm in my mid-60s. And let's just think about this for a minute. What if we had a calorimeter machine and a computer that figured out how many calories I need each day to maintain this exact weight where I've been for the last 65 years? We know, well, oh, no, I wasn't this weight when I was a kid. Only this weight for about 50 years, right? Okay, so let's say how many calories I need to maintain my perfect weight. Let's just say, for example, it may not be right, but let's just pull a number out of the air. 1,600 calories a day I need to maintain my perfect weight. Now, what if I just eat 625 calories a day on the average instead of 1,600, I eat 1,625? What happens to me? Overshoot my needs by 25 calories a day. Well, 25 extra calories a day times 365 calories a year comes out to 3 pounds a year I'm going to put on my body. 3 pounds a year for 10 years, that's 30 pounds of weight. over 10 more years, that's 15 years off my lifespan. From 25 calories a day, too much. Just a little bit extra calories a day, too much. Shortens your lifespan and makes you not able to achieve longevity now. Now, on the other hand, I undershot my caloric calculations, and instead of eating 1,600 calories a day, I eat 1,550. I just eat 50 calories less, 50 to 100 calories less each day over what scientists determined my metabolic rate requires to maintain my perfect lean body mass. Then what happens to me? Do I waste away to nothing? Do my bones get weak? Do I become anorexic? Do I shrink? What happens? Somebody's yelling out there, extend your life. How do you know that? Did you listen to this lecture before? Thank you for the right answer, but here's what happens. What happens is you don't lose weight at all. Your body maintains its weight without getting too thin, because I'm already at my ideal thinnest weight. My stomach is already ripped. I already have that six-pack. I'm already less than 10% body fat. I'm already exercising, and I'm muscular. I'm not going to lose more weight because there's nothing to lose. Once I'm at my ideal weight, I'm not going to lose any further. So what my body's going to do now, so it doesn't prevent me from losing weight, it'll slow down my metabolic rate by lowering the respiratory quotient. I won't lose as much calories through breathing. And it'll lower my body temperature a bit. So I will be my hands and feet may be colder in the wintertime. I have to wear gloves when I'm skiing. Maybe I'm wearing mittens instead of gloves. But I can withstand the heat better in the summertime. And my thyroid will drop a little bit. My body will make these numerous modifications to slow down my metabolism so I won't get too thin. And in the process of slowing down my metabolism, I'm going to stop aging as rapidly. Slowing the metabolism is the equivalent of slowing the aging process. Speeding up the metabolism is the equivalent of speeding up the rate at which you're aging. Are you getting this so far? So when I moderately slow down my metabolism, what happens is my bones and muscles change. So the osteoclasts and osteoplasts, building and breaking down bone, don't have so much turnover. So it maintains my bone strength with aging. So I don't develop osteoporosis and sarcopenia. I don't lose the muscle and bones as I age. I keep my youthful strength and vitality because my metabolic rate is slightly slow. Are you following this right now? The monkeys that are fed a little less at 40 years old have the bodies of 16-year-old monkeys. The point is, though, how do we comfortably restrict calories? Isn't that uncomfortable, eating 50 calories less? The answer is no. I'm going to show you how you can eat as much food as you want, eat the most delicious diet you could possibly eat until you're really satisfied, and still undershoot your metabolic rate to slow the aging process. Because, most Americans, what they're doing is they think they're looking for some gimmick, some trick, some hook, some fad. They can speed up the metabolic rate so they can eat more food and not get fat. Aren't they? But what we really want to do is slow down the metabolic rate so we can eat less food and not get too thin. It's completely longevity is the opposite of what people think. You guys are learning something different than most people are reading these magazines and internet articles and hearing these speakers spewing out nonsense, giving them all the opposite information of what you need to extend your longevity. You following me? You coming along for the ride?